girl Aisha, aka geekxxchic, and I'm back with another reaction to Siren. We are now on episode 4, which is called On the Road Again. Just on the road. Just on the road. Episode 3, well, actually, we had a lot of movement in that one comparatively to the second episode. We had the whole scientific exploration of Rin by Ben and Maddie. They wanted to get a little bit, get to know more about Rin scientifically speaking. Like, how does she work as a mermaid, essentially? And Rin did this in exchange for Ben promising that they were going to help her find her sister in exchange. So that was kind of, you know, him and Maddie were kind of figuring out a lot of really cool things about the way that these mer people are composed. And on the other side of things, we find out that Chris has sent a text to Xander, basically saying, like, you know, help me, come get me, like, I'm alive, sort of thing. And so Xander and I can't remember the other guy's name is. I think it's Alden. They decide to go and they do some very convenient sleuthing, just in the sense of the fact that they kind of like reverse traced her number, which is a cell phone number for a woman who's working at a private government facility. Okay. But anyway, we'll suspend disbelief for that. They discover where Chris is, but it's a military compound and they realize they cannot get close to it. So they decided in the last episode that they're going to camp out at the nurse's house, which they also conveniently found, because that information is always just listed. And they're going to somehow see if they can figure out a way to get her to either tell them about Chris, I guess, or figure out a way to get him out of the compound. So without further ado, let's get into this episode and then we'll chat about it after. Okay. Boop. Damn, did she actually get one? Good girl. Oh, I don't think that's a good idea, Chris. You high as hell. Oh, and still injured. And naked. She got out! Did she find clothes? How'd she find clothes? Girl, I'm confused. Because no one noticed that.
Go. Come on.
Girl, get in the car. Come on. In the car. Baby girl, we ain't got time for this. He's like, that's okay, I'll escape by myself. Okay, but if they were on lockdown, then how come her pass? Okay. Lower. Lower.
Got room for one more.
Oh, we're actually just showering. Okay, no, we're not. Why do I feel like Rin's just gonna pop up? I feel like she's just gonna show up and be like, I knew it!
Rin.
Called it. Her face.
I think you might be in shock.
Oh, bless him. She's like, I'm not gonna tear your head off yet.
This is how we found it.
Damn! Donna, you savage!
Sea salt,
Okay.
buttermilk, and boswellia.
Alright.
Whole family recipe.
I feel like Vaseline would have just been easier.
I wouldn't eat that if...
Okay.
They call it an autoimmune response when they don't understand what something is.
Is she a mermaid? Or maybe one of her ancestors was a mermaid? I'm telling you, this woman with the stole. She part of the family, man. She's part of the mermaid fam, somehow. Like, you can't just be leaving your mermaid skin all over the place, man. That's nasty. That's cool. Wake up, this is the stakeout. What are you doing? Right?
Wake up.
Jeez. Of course he knows how to pick a lock. Of course he does. Ah! Go. No, cleaner vans are never good.
Shit, someone's here. We gotta go.
That's a cleaner van. Go. Donna never existed as of today. Y'all messed with the wrong one. Yas, Donna, yas. Even though it's not your real name.
Zoom that in.
You perverts. She's naked. Can you put on some good music at least? Maybe some Under the Sea? I mean, girl, I'm not about metal either, but you could have taken a few steps back. Y'all don't find some hip hop for her right away, some R&B, some smooth pop.
Well, the only progress I see is we know they can transform.
You didn't know that?
Poses a whole new security threat. They could be living among us.
Oh no! Too late. This Mazda, whatever the model is, has got amazing fuel mileage. I just want to say, plug for this because they've been driving for years. Isn't British Columbia beautiful? Look at these gorgeous winding roads. Can you wheeze quieter, please? Are we getting a reunion this quickly? Oh god, they're gonna capture Rin now, aren't they? No! Too much going on right now.
Go.
Where are the other guys? Okay, no time for this bro time. No time for bro hugs. Let's go. Let's go. This all feels like tense. I don't like it. Hey! Is that her name? I can't say it. Okay. Y'all don't hug in the mermaid world? Okay, you just touch hands. That's okay, that's cool. But y'all being so close to the water though, it just doesn't make sense you don't get in. How convenient they were right by the ocean as well. Well, end of the series.
Dude, that's the place. It's the place where they're holding Chris.
Getting rid of all the evidence.
It's just like the dudes with the duffel bags. They're wiping out all the evidence. Is it working?
Yeah. She's moving fast.
Y'all couldn't give her 2 seconds before you start stalking her. 2 seconds!
Where do you think she's going?
Away from you.
We lost her.
Relax, dramatic boy. She ain't dead. You gonna cry about it? Y'all still seem to be very close to the surface if y'all are seeing light. You need to go deeper. For real. Thank you. Are we gonna see Atlantis? Is there a Mer Kingdom? Ariel's house? King Trident? I need answers! All right. Well, that was episode 4, which was called On the Road. Yeah, we had a lot happen, like a lot in this episode, especially compared to the first, well, the episodes 1 and 2 in particular, which kind of, you know, they established, I guess, the world. And then, like I said, episode 2 kind of felt like nothing really happened. And in episode 3, we got a little bit more about the science, I guess, of Maddie and what she was. But we, again, didn't really get anything about, we still don't really know anything about Maddie's world, I guess. And I don't think it's a bad thing, per se. I mean, obviously, Maddie's Rin's communication skills, they're still very primary. She still isn't able to, you know, articulate herself the way that she probably would like to. But I kind of have more questions about, you know, this world that they live in. And I really liked seeing Donna, her sister, kind of come to light. And I like that the show has brought out that both her and Rin are so smart. Like, not that anyone would have thought they were dumb. We saw that test in the last episode that Rin did, and Ben was like, wow, like she's off the charts, like she's smart. I mean, the test was between like her and like a monkey, I think. So it wasn't like there was a really big comparison there. But I like that they just keep bringing out that her and what's her name, Helen Hawkins, they've figured out that these girls are so smart, that they are potentially smarter than humans. And just because they don't speak, you know, the language we speak doesn't mean that they're stupid. And I really like how they show that Donna was studying these people. Like, she figured, okay, I'm stuck in this cage. I can't get out. I don't know how to get out. And I love it because obviously, because I thought the first thing I thought was like, because the tank was open, right? The tank she was in didn't have a ceiling on it. So I was like, why doesn't she just pull her, like she has enough upper body strength to pull herself out of the tank and potentially walk away. But clearly she just realized, well, okay, I can do that, but then where do I go? I don't know where I am. So I like that this episode really showed that Donna spent all these, I don't know how long it's been, at least several days or whatever, just studying the people, figuring out how to get around, figuring out how to get in and out. Because that's what I thought when I first saw that scene with her sitting on the floor. I was like, she got dressed. Like, I mean, I know that, you know, it's a PG show, you can't have her walking around naked, but I'm like, how did she know to put clothes on and to put scrubs on, of all things, right? Why didn't she just grab like a sheet or something? Makes sense, you know, the doctor said she figured out she needs to put on clothes, and that people who can leave and come back and, you know, get in and out of this place are dressed like this. So I liked it. I really, really like that they keep bringing out the fact that these girls are really smart and capable and lethal. I mean, Donna took out that entire room, and we all know that she didn't get her legs right away. Like, that takes a minute. So the fact that she took out most of them while she still had a tail, I mean, that tail thrash is no joke, okay? We've seen it twice. She did it to Chris. That's what gave him that big internal injury. And then she knocked some other poor guy out there. Like, don't mess with the tails. Well, I'm saying, just do not mess with the tail whip, because that thing is serious. It's serious business. As far as Rin, it was great to hear a little bit more about her reasoning for being so adamant about finding her sister. I mean, obviously it makes sense that if this is her sister and she cares about her, she wants to find her, but figuring out that it was her idea to go for the food closer to the surface, which I love that Helen is kind of filling in the blanks for us, because as I said, we can't get too much out of Rin at the moment as far as anything about her world or her thinking or her reasoning. So I like that Helen's kind of our de facto person to fill in the blanks, but I like that she's, you know better than to come so close to the surface. Why did you? And then she's like, we were hungry, I was hungry, I figured I'll go, and she followed me. Like, she didn't tell her to come, as sisters do sometimes. She's like, you ain't going up there by yourself. And then of course they go up there, and the one thing that you swear is not gonna happen happens, and so she's carrying this guilt with her, which kind of explains why she was so kind of angry at first. You know, I kind of noticed in episodes 1 and 2 she was very aggressive and angry with the way she dealt with everyone, which, I mean, after what happened in the water is not completely unjustified, but it just seemed a little extra, and now it makes more sense. You know, she was just kind of mad at herself and mad at everything else because she felt like this was her problem, her fault, and she had to fix it. So that was cool to see a little bit more about why her determination was the way it was, and that she was kind of willing to, like, die on shore if that's what it took, because she just didn't like the, like, going back to the water in her mind was like she had to be reminded that that's where everything happened. Like, for her, it was just like, it wasn't just the pain of shifting, it was a reminder of her guilt and a reminder of the last moment she had with her sister. So it was cool. They kind of gave Rin a few more layers in this episode, and I really enjoyed that, because again, with her not having the ability to communicate with us, we have to infer things and we have to assume things. And I think this kind of helped add a little texture there without her having to give a long, sordid story about herself or her background. As far as the Chris rescue story, I mean, it was okay. I didn't really see that it did much outside of kind of get him out of the crosshairs of the facility. I'm thinking that they're obviously keeping him alive for a reason. I'm not sure what that reason is yet. And I just mean in the sense of, he basically was a non-entity in the first 3 episodes. Like, we knew he existed, but he was drugged up or passed out the entire time. I mean, easy paycheck for that actor, right? He didn't really have to do much. This is the first episode we've really seen him talk and interact since the show began. And the fact that they allowed him to escape pretty conveniently, if you ask me, the fact that he was able to do that says to me, okay, like, why are they allowing him to continue to live? Like, what's going on with there? So I still have my little personal theory that Chris may turn into, I think he might, maybe there was some mixing of the blood, her blood and his blood or something like that. I feel like Chris might be going through a transformation. He might turn into a mer person, his own self or something. I just feel like there's gotta be a reason that they're keeping him alive outside of just having this side story, the side plot that really isn't moving. Is there anything else that really happened in this episode? I guess this doctor, I'm still not sure what to make of the doctor who, while we discovered, lessened her, they were drugging her, and he lessened her drugs because he wanted her to, because he thought she was basically gonna die. And she was just acting. She figured out that, you know, even though I think we figured out that these mermaids can understand language even though they can't necessarily speak it. And I think when she figured out that this doctor was a little soft on her, she faked being really, really sick, and then he lessened her drugs, and that gave her enough strength to be able to kill everybody. So, I mean, I'm assuming he's looking to clear his name because the military is clearly not very happy with him, and he's gonna probably feel guilty for all the people who died. I mean, it looks like 3 bodies, they said. 3 people died. So I guess he's feeling some kind of way about that, and he's trying to figure it out. I do think he's genuinely curious about these mermaids. I think he is kind of the same mindset as Ben and Maddie in that he wants to learn more about, like, you know, he's a true scientist. I think he really wants to know more about their species and understand them, and he doesn't want to hurt them per se in the process. But I couldn't tell at the end whether or not he's in the camp of, I really just want to help preserve these creatures, or if he's fallen into the camp of, now that 3 people have died that were under his command, that now he might be like, well, they're dangerous, and now I'm just gonna learn more about them to stop them. I'm not sure about him. We'll see. I mean, the fact that they keep showing him, I'm assuming he's gonna play a fairly big part at some point. He might become the next villain. Like, you know, that military dude that's come in and out's kind of been like the de facto bad guy, but maybe our doctor's gonna turn over and be the bigger threat because he actually understands them to some degree. Which also, just a side note, we found out that the military now knows, I thought they knew that they could transform, but now they know, they didn't know that. So now that they know that, that's gonna be very different, and I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how they're gonna handle trying to discover who's a mermaid and who's not. And then speaking of land walking mermaids, I had a theory back in like the first episode or maybe the second episode, and I don't think I talked about it in the video, but I'm wondering if Helen is a mermaid or has mermaid ancestries, because the fascination that she has, and she talks about her family being very tied very closely to the mermaid history. And then we saw her skin. She's got a skin condition that they said is an autoimmune disorder that they can't diagnose. What if she's a mermaid or half mermaid? Like, maybe she doesn't know it. Maybe she doesn't realize that, like, her and Rin be cousins. You know, she might be Rin's auntie and she don't even know it, yo. She be Rin's auntie. You wanna bet we're gonna find out later on that, like, Helen can't, like, be too far from the water, because then, like, you know, they said the water's good for her skin and her health or whatever, and she doesn't even realize it's because she needs to be. Like, I don't know. I feel like the fact that they had to show her putting the salve on Rin's skin and then immediately link that to Rin looking at her skin condition says to me, Helen is more than meets the eye. And that would be super cool. Like, maybe that's what happened in this coastal town, is some of these mermaids came on land and just chose not to go back. Because, like, that was something else that they mentioned in there about how Rin could stay on land longer this time than when the first time she left the water. And then Helen said, yeah, every time they come on, they can stay longer. And I remember hearing lore about mermaids saying that basically they had to go back every, oh no, it was from that movie Splash. Seriously, guys, watch Splash. It's really good. In the movie Splash, Daryl Hannah's character, who's also a mermaid, she tells Tom Hanks's character at one point that she keeps going. She usually goes back, and then I think she said, like, it's after the next full moon, like basically a month. I think it was a month. She was saying, like, if by the next full moon, she's like, if I don't go back to the water, I'll never be able to go back. So she's basically saying that I guess they have to return, you know, repeatedly or regularly, but if it goes for too long, then their bodies won't shift back into mermaid form anymore. So I don't know if they're taking a little bit, I don't know if that, I mean, that might have been just for the movie Splash, but if they're taking that idea that maybe there are mermaids in the past who just chose to never return to the water, like if every time they come on land, I'm assuming that their bodies, because we saw from the tests in episode 1, that they've got these crazy regenerative capabilities. Plus, if they can go from being land walkers to marine creatures, they clearly have the ability to adapt very quickly. So maybe every time they come on land and stay, they actually are kind of evolving into becoming more of land walkers versus water dwellers. And so maybe some ancient mermaids, or not ancient, but maybe 2, 3, 4 generations ago, some of these mermaids, that's exactly what they did. They just chose not to go back to the water, hooked up with some humans, had some half mermaid, half human kids, and these kids, you know, just don't know that they're half mermaid because they've never, like, spent their entirety of their life in the water. You know, maybe something like that. But I feel like we're gonna find out more. They mentioned heavily the history of Bristol Cove in episode 1, so I'm hoping that they'll come back around and tie it all into what we're seeing with Rin and potentially with Helen and obviously Ben's family. I think those are the main things that we got out of this episode, really. I am curious to see, since they allowed, I mean, obviously we're not at the end of the season yet, so the fact that the 2 mermaids managed to escape and get back out to the water, obviously that's not the end of it. We're gonna see them again, but I don't know if both of them are gonna come back. I mean, Rin is kind of she's the character everyone's been talking about so far. It does make me wonder, like, I feel like we're gonna see her again though. I feel like the both of them are gonna come back for some reason. Like, maybe they're gonna try to go home and they can't, but we saw that the tracking device that Rin was wearing went dark, and I don't know if that's because she just went too deep. We heard Helen say that wherever she's from, it's very, very far away and it's very, very deep, so they don't even need to come to the surface. That's how deep it is. So that tells me that wherever they live is in the bowels of the water. So I don't know. I guess at this point, I really, as you saw me kind of rattle off at the end of the video, I have so many questions about where they come from, and maybe it's just my excitement of Aquaman coming out. I really want to see more of this mermaid home. Are they the only two left? Are there more? What do their homes look like? What do their people look like? Are they starving? Are they dying out? Is that because, like, obviously for her to come all the way to the surface for food, something's going on with the way that they've always been able to live, where they didn't have to come to the surface for food. Or do they even have to? Or was Rin just like, you know what, I'm tired of eating the same food, I just want to try something different. You know, I've been having Red Lobster my whole life, I want to try a little bit of, you know, Chick-fil-A. I don't know, like maybe it was just something like that, but I have questions. I don't know if we've got the budget for it, but I'd love to see more of what happens in Rin's world, and not just being told to us. But yeah, this was a good episode. This was like my favorite one so far, but for sure. I liked it. The pacing was good. I liked the interaction between Chris and Donna. Maybe she'll have a real name. I guess she's gonna stick with Donna for now. But I like that whole interaction. Again, that actress who played Donna did a great job, just like Elaine Powell's been doing with not being able to speak very much and having to use expressions and body language to convey her thoughts and her feelings. But I like that interaction a lot. I really liked how we kind of came to a medium resolution right now to things. Obviously not the final resolution for the season. And I do like, we kind of ended things on a nice note of, you know, Rin being cool with both Maddie and Ben, and Donna being cool with the humans she interacted with. I think that's gonna be very important and play a very big part in the rest of the season. Thanks so much for watching this episode along with me, guys. If you like this video, please click like, and if you see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time, see ya.